Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Let me ask you this. Have you ever built an integration where your app needed to know when something happened in another system, but you weren't sure how to stay in sync? Do you keep checking for updates? Or should you wait for them to notify you? Today, we're talking about the difference between webhooks and polling, two common patterns for keeping systems in sync. By the end of this video, you'll understand how they work, their pros and cons, and most importantly, when to use which. If you're working with APIs, microservices, or any kind of third-party system, this is a concept you absolutely want in your toolbox. Let's start with polling. Polling is when your system repeatedly checks another system for updates. Imagine your backend sending an API request every few seconds asking, "Is there anything new?" And it keeps doing that, even if nothing's changed. It's simple and it works. But it's not always efficient. You might be calling that API every few seconds and getting nothing most of the time. That's a lot of noise for very little signal. Now let's talk about webhooks. Webhooks flip the pattern. Instead of you checking, you set up a URL and the other system notifies you when something happens. So now your application gets notified only when there's actual data to process. No more asking over and over. It just reacts when needed. Webhooks are more efficient because they only trigger when needed, and they let your system react in near real time. So when would you actually use polling? As for the pros, polling is easy to implement. It's suitable especially when the other system doesn't support webhooks. You control the timing. You decide when to check and how often. Great for internal systems or when you just need periodic updates. On the other hand, it can be inefficient. There might be lots of unnecessary API calls. You introduce latency since updates only come in after your next scheduled poll. So data might accumulate in between intervals. And it can also become resource intensive if you're polling too frequently. Now, what about webhooks? The pros. You get updates in real time since you get notified right after an event is triggered. No need to check constantly. You only receive data when there's something new. It's more efficient on both sides, fewer requests, faster response. As for the cons, you need to expose a publicly accessible endpoint, which adds a bit of setup overhead. You need proper error handling and retries. If your endpoint fails, the message could be lost. And testing can be a bit trickier, especially in local environments. So, which one should you use? You should use polling when the source system doesn't support webhooks. You're building a quick prototype or MVP. You only need updates occasionally, like once an hour or once a day, and webhooks are ideal when you need real-time updates. The third-party system supports it. You want to reduce load and optimize API usage. Sometimes it's also good to use both. For example, rely on webhooks for real time, but add a fallback polling mechanism in case something gets missed. So to wrap it up, polling is about asking repeatedly. Webhooks are about getting notified when things happen. One is proactive, the other reactive. Both of these solutions solve the same problem, but in very different ways. The right choice depends on your use case, latency requirements, and what the other system supports. But if you have an option between the two, I suggest you go with webhooks. It has a much cleaner and optimized approach, perfect for event-driven architecture. Thanks for sticking around. Let me know in the comments which one you've used more and if you've ever combined both. I'd love to hear how you're solving this in your own systems. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you want to explore more tech concepts. See you in the next video.